Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Live with Cami. This is Cami Wanis, the Freedom Scholar. If you're listening to this on our podcast, it is Homeschool Success with Cami Wanis podcast. I am so excited today because we are going to be talking about how to end the school year right. This is the end of the school year, and we want to end the year sending the right message, right? We want to send the right message about learning and what learning is how it's the culture in our home. Okay. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, I've been having some tech trouble. So I just want to make sure that I'm live. So let me just go in the Facebook group here because our Facebook group does have trouble kind of pulling it together. Hey, look, we're live. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, let me just do a little tag for everyone here to make sure that they see us. Are live now talking about ending the year right. I am not one of those people that can talk and type at the same time. Oh gosh, you guys, if you're live with me now, go ahead and say a little hello in the comments. The right message. Okay. Okay, so you guys, I'm excited. So here we are talking about the end of the school year. We're in June now. Most of us have either already ended the school year or if you do take a summer break, that's a whole nother topic about, which is related to talking about the messages that we send, right? About learning. And you guys know I am all about sending the message that increases love of learning, not decreases it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But everybody's in a different place right now. And some people are talking about, well, we're going to end the school year in June. We're going to end it in May. Depends on, where you are. So it doesn't matter. Some people say we don't end the school year. We just keep on going. Right. And so that's kind of what we do. And I'll talk about that a little bit more and why a little bit, but we want to make sure that we're sending the right message that doesn't decrease love of learning. So there's a lot of things that I want you guys to think about, okay? And it's important because so many parents end the school year, and it's part of our condition that we've just been that educational should that I talk about a lot, that it's on our shoulders. We're just conditioned to say, woo, woo, it's summer, school's out for the summer, right? And so we're thinking about that whole situation, and we can do what we want. We're free, and we don't have to be in boringness and be in books and all this other stuff. And so we're thinking about all of these awesome stuff that we get to do this in the summer. And that's just our conditioning, right? Well, I'm challenging you today to change your conditioning, because what that attitude can do, and what I see many, many parents do, is through sending that message, even if we're not saying it, we can still lower love of learning. Okay. And the problem with that is that not only do we have this expectation, I'm all about taking our learning expectations and changing them, right? So if we have a learning expectation that, well, this stuff is boring, the stuff that's important, the school stuff, the stuff that I'm supposed to learn, and maybe I'm not that good at it, but it is not what I'm interested in. And here's the stuff I'm interested in, and it's really fun, but it's not deemed important to the adults and the people that say what I need to learn, right? Okay, we want to take those and we want to bridge that gap. We want to connect them together. So when you're thinking about ending the school year, I want you to think about what message you're sending to your kids about learning. Are you keeping those two separate, or are you bridging them together? Maybe you didn't throughout the year. Maybe are just learning this right now. That's totally fine. You can change at any point, but you can switch directions. It's totally cool. And no matter where you are, even if you're just totally struggling, you can switch directions. So you just need to check with me, message me. We can figure it out. I just had a awesome conversation. I was so inspired by Heather this morning in our Inspiring Lifelong Learning program. She's like I told her she's a totally different person. She looks so relaxed, so inspired, so happy. And it's because she's been getting new information from the Inspiring Lifelong Learning program. She's changing that learning expectation that she has, and she's ready to implement it all with her kids. And so she's already doing it. It's so fun. I'm so proud of you, Heather. So the reason why this is important is because if we ever want to think about lifelong learning, stopping checking boxes and lifelong learning, we have to think about the fact that learning happens everywhere all the time, right? Learning happens everywhere all the time. That is always what we're thinking about. And we have to send that message always. Not to say that we have to be in textbooks all the time. We're not even during the school year, we're not, right? But we want to be sending this message. And so it's important that we end the school year like this so that we can continue the messaging throughout the summer. Because if we don't, our love of learning is going to drop as a family. And then it's so hard to start the next school year. It's like, oh, that first day. I remember when I was in the classroom, you guys, and that first day with high schoolers, forget it. They're asleep at least until lunch, and then they're bored out of their minds. They're so depressed. They're like, they don't want to be there. They're just, it's very quiet. I do a lot of talking usually in the first like 2 or 3 days of school because they're just out to lunch. And so it's really hard to get them motivated and going back again because they have these two sides, right, of learning. And they haven't bridged the gap. And so it's really it's like moving a brick wall, man. It's so difficult. But if we do that and we end the year right, and then we send the right message throughout the summer, guess what we can do? We can just slip right into that new year, right? We can slip right into that next year and we're jamming. And we actually might, even if we're intentional and we are learning new things and we are getting new information and we're being intentional about implementing those things, we can actually start the next year with a higher level of love of learning. That's what I'm excited about. That's what Heather's going to do. She's awesome. So I'm excited about that. But we can have a lot of frustration, a lot of box checking that still is happening, and we can still end the year on a right note. If that sounds like you, give me like a hey in the comments. Give me a I'm going to message you today, Cami, because I am ready to not have that happen. Give me and go ahead and message me seriously because I want to talk. I don't want you to end that way. I don't want you to just vacay through the summer and then start the year off with this just such a big hurdle, right? So we want to just breeze right on in, and it's just what we do. So if that sounds like you, send me a message, let me know, and then we'll talk about it. We'll set a time to talk about it, and we'll get you on the right path for sure. So and I say right, and a lot of people don't like that, and when I say the right way. So maybe that's the wrong word, but let's just think about this for a second. What do you want for your kids? Do you want them to be box checkers? Do you want them to have a low love of learning and everything be hard and complaining and frustration? Or do you want them to have high love of learning and everything be a lot easier and have hunger and curiosity and sending the message that learning happens everywhere all the time and raising leaders, lifelong learners and leaders? If that's you, then that's the right way. I don't know about you, but I've never talked to a single parent that said, yeah, I want frustration. I'm signing up for that. I want complaining. I'm signing up for that. Never talked to a single parent. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of parents. I've never once had anybody say that before. So when we're talking about the right way, maybe that's not the correct term. You guys come up with some other terms that I could use. Maybe that would be something I need to look into. But I really feel like that's just, for me, that's the right way. And most of the parents I talk to, the way that we're increasing love of learning, that's the right way. So what the heck do we do? What do we do about this? We're ending the school year. What do we do, right? What do we do is we start having fun. First of all, we need to we need to have a good attitude. We need to have the attitude of a lifelong learner, right? Even if our kids are not there. That's what I love about Heather. She's already got that in her mind. She's so hungry. She whipped through all of this information in the Inspiring Lifelong Learning program, and then she's like, "Man, I don't these kids are going to come along because I'm on board. I'm doing this." And I love that. I love that. So exciting because that's so true. So you have to have the right attitude. We're sending the message that learning is everywhere, right? Learning happens everywhere all the time. And so you end the year with something fun. Do something fun. Think about ending the year as a lifelong learner. Are you going to just, that's it, we're done, check, close the books, kids? We're never going to read again for the entire summer. We're not doing any math. We're not da 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 da. Is that how you're sending the message? I'm glad that's over. I mean, that's I see parents do that all the time, not intentionally. But they're just so relieved that school year, we made it through the year. Oh my goodness, that was rough. If you want your kids to be excited about homeschooling, to be excited about learning, you can't send that message. You can't say, "Whoo, guys, good job, man. I know it was rough, but we made it." That's inviting the same messaging. You're reinforcing it, right? What we want to do is we want to do something at the end of the year that's fun. We want to start number 2 implementing attitude was number 1. Do something fun is number 2. And number 3 I'm going to say is start implementing routines and habits that send the message learning happens everywhere all the time. That doesn't mean you have to be in your curriculum. It doesn't mean you have to be in a book. It doesn't mean you have to be in a course or anything like that. But if learning happens everywhere all the time, then we might need to remind them, "Hey guys, guess what? We just did some learning." Isn't that crazy? Wow. That was like Heather was saying this morning, we can just say that was homeschool because her kids have a certain idea about what homeschooling looks like, and she's trying to shift that over to lifelong learning. And so just saying that was homeschool, and the kids are like, "That was homeschool?" She's already done that once. It was really great. I love it. I love it. So sending the right messages, saying, like start implementing some of those routines. Start doing some fun things that are learning, but you learn something and then you say, "Hey, guess what? We learned. What did you guys learn?" Don't be like, "Oh my God, okay, what did we learn? Let's write it down. Let's do a book report on it. Let's do let's write a paper on it. Oh my gosh, don't kill it." Right? Don't kill it. But let's just casually in the car as we're coming back from the zoo. What did you guys learn today? What's your favorite animal? What did what was it? What was the craziest thing you saw? Did you guys see the crazy like feathers sticking up on that bird's head? Like just all these amazing things. Isn't it cool? I didn't know that kind of animal ate this thing, right? I didn't know that snakes were actually beneficial to, the rodent population, right? All of these things. So just talk, and it doesn't have to be the zoo. It can be every day in your backyard, talking about that kind of stuff. That's going to give you the right message. That's going to give you lifelong learning messages. Okay. I guess I should just say lifelong learning messages instead of saying rights, but the lifelong learning messages, that sounds better to me. But, if you are thinking about how you are going to implement this, I as if you know me at all, I started off box checking. I was a classroom teacher. I taught high school English. And then when I came home, I started homeschooling. We were doing okay, pretty organic. Some formal learning, not very much for preschool and kinder. I was like, he has time. It's fine. For some reason during when he was 6 years old at first grade, I was like, "Okay, it's time to learn. Let's get out the books." And I gathered everything and we started doing these workbooks. And he did not really, every day was less and less and less and less until he was crying every day. And then I'm crying every day. And so I've been there, you guys. I understand it completely. I was a huge box checker just from my experience in school and then teaching as well. So I understand it. But what I did was I stopped. I was like, "Hey, hey, 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 hey. This is not working out. This is not." And instead of giving up, I was committed to homeschooling. I was like, I obviously did something wrong. So he's never been to school. So how would any messages he's gotten about learning has been from me? or my husband or, other people around him. So it's and it's not like we sent him to preschool. We didn't send him to kindergarten. He's never been schooled. So, he didn't really have that. It was totally me, right? So that's how powerful you can be. So I took a step back and I was like, what message do we want to send about learning? Guess what? I realized I was sending the wrong message. I was sending the wrong message. And so you guys can do that. You can change that mode. And I started implementing routines that changed how we do things. Heather's right there right now. We just talked this morning, like I said, and she's got two different strategies for routines she's going to start implementing in the next couple weeks. And she's already kind of started it a little bit, and I'm excited about her results. So it's really going to be fun. So if you want to send that kind of a message to where for us, it's just what we do. Learning's just what we do. Do we stop it for the summer? No. Do we just keep on rolling? Because that's the message I want to send. Heather and I were talking about that this morning too. And I just say it's just what we do. It's just who we are. It's the culture that we've created. So if you want to create a lifelong learner, you can't start and stop learning, right? It's not this is the time for learning, this is not the time for learning. It's like everywhere is learning, right? So if you want to create a lifelong learner, that's what you have to do. Okay. And so if you want to learn how to do that, definitely message me and we can talk about how to implement it for your family and for your situation for the summer and where everybody starts at a different place. Everybody's at a different level of love of learning and everybody's got a different level of shoulding happening on them. So let's just see what that is for you. Okay. So definitely message me and we can talk about it. I love that. And you guys, that's the whole reason why I put together the Raising Leaders Roadmap, because checkpoint 11 is the family reset. And you guys have heard me talk about this over and over and over again. But that's what I did. That's what raises you up from a lower level of love of learning to a higher level of love of learning. And it's among other things, of course, that's one of them. But if you really need to do a clear reset, we're changing up some things in the way that we think, that's what that is. And so it's a really, really fun to do the family reset. And we're talking about all the fun things that Heather can do with her family. It's going to be really, really great. And then routines is also checkpoint number 8 in the Raising Leaders Roadmap. It's about creating solid routines that have very clear learning expectations and very clear expectations about what happens during the routine, when it happens. That's a routine is something that happens at the similar times a day, but it's something we do fairly frequently, and there's an expectation that comes with it, right? So we want to create ones that have high level of love of learning and send the message of lifelong learning, right? So if you guys want to know more about that, you want to get on this path of lifelong learning and sending the right messages for the end of the school year, ending the year strong. I've heard that from a lot of parents. I want to end the year strong. Well, what does that mean for you? I think for a lot of parents, it means sending the message of lifelong learning, that we're going to be on a different path. We're going to go this way of lifelong learning. And if you want to know that, just message me. We'll talk about it and we'll get you on a plan that is going to work totally amazingly to get you on the right path. You guys, this is so exciting. I love the end of the school year. That's a lot about change and restarting things. So this is a perfect time for you to get on this train of lifelong learning and setting the message that learning happens everywhere all the time. I've talked with parents about this for days and days and days and weeks now, about how summer is the best time to do this, because we can create new habits, new routines, new learning expectations. And then when we get that educational shit off our shoulder, and then when we start the next school year, you guys, oh my gosh, you won't even recognize your family. You'd be like, what? I don't even know what's happening right now. You'll have experiences where my son was explaining something that he was doing for his studies, and he was explaining his coding thing. And he says, yeah, well, the iterative process. The iterative process. So he was using the word iteration, which is like versions, like when you have versions of things, that every new version is a new iteration, right? But he had conjugated the word and changed the word for what he needed. So change conjugated is just an English teacher term for, or a language term for changing the word to the form of the word that is appropriate for what you're using it for. So he conjugated the word iteration into iterative to be an adjective for process. So in iterative process. And I was like, I don't know, first of all, that I've ever even heard that word. And secondly, I'm I'm impressed. That was amazing. My husband and I were both like, the iterative process. Wow. That's impressive. I don't know. I know I've never used that word before. I'm not even sure it's a real word. I'm like, I'll take it. I think it's a real word. That's the exact right usage and correct usage of that word. That's incredible. I mean, he's 15. That's amazing. I just think that's so fun. So, and he was like, wow. And he thought that was pretty cool, but he does that stuff all the time. It's pretty funny. You guys, this is going to be a great summer. This is going to be a great time for you to increase level of learning, and let's get you on that right path. So definitely contact me and we'll get you on getting going, doing the right routines and habits that inspire lifelong learning. I'll talk to you guys next week. We have a great guest coming next week talking about online safety. So I'm really excited about that because that's something we all need, especially for summer when kids are not maybe as busy as they were during the year. Okay, you guys, I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.